quiet town of Gilmanton, New Hampshire in 1876, two 14-year-old girls, Lily and Emma, formed an unusual bond over their mutual fascination with all things macabre. They'd spend late nights in Lily's dimly lit bedroom, their voices lowered as they crafted what they dubbed their shadow book, an elaborate list of people, and even Emma's neighbor's barking dog, who they believed deserved an early end. The plans were detailed, describing how they would cull them from the herd, isolate them, and overtake them. With each name they added, Lily and Emma's grim fantasies became more elaborate and precise. They found a strange thrill in these dark fantasies. But what started as teen rebellion took a sinister turn when Lily's older brother Herman discovered their secret shadow book obsession. Little did Lily and Emma know, Herman harbored a secret crush on Emma and saw an opportunity to impress her by carrying out their deadly plans. Under the cloak of darkness, Herman pointed his horse toward Emma's neighbor's farm, and first trampled the dog by the gate before discovering his owner, the old widow who lived alone, still pulling laundry off the line. No longer plagued by the guard dog's barking, he slinked silently behind her and wrapped his long arms around her throat until he heard the satisfying crack. It was easier to do than he thought, and he hoped Emma would finally see him as the hero he was. When the old woman's niece found her a week later, lying under the white laundry sheets that still hung on the line, the town descended into panic and fear. Rumors spread like wildfire in the quiet rural community. Lily and Emma were thrilled to be involved in the dramatic events, only wishing they'd been the ones who'd got to the old woman and her dog first. They whispered about how they would have done it better, but crossed out their names nonetheless in the shadow book and laughed, assuming the wretched old woman and her angry dog must have finally crossed the wrong person. But when the pastor was found strung up on his own hunter's meat hook 2 days later, the town went into hysteria. Lily and Emma ran home and threw open the book, confirming the leering pastor was indeed the next entry on the list, and more importantly, their plan had been followed to a T. This threw the girls into the blissful delusion that they were powerful wielders of black magic and held the power of life and death in their hands. They grew bolder, and Lily added a final name to the list. Herman's name. See, Lily despised her brother. He was cruel to her, often flying into fits of rage. He'd started punching and shoving her now that he was older, and she knew he had disemboweled one of the barn cats. She suspected their mother was afraid of him too, and would rarely disagree with him. He was exactly like their late father, who'd been killed in a farming accident. The girls created a plan to lure him to the river, give him a sedative, and drown him. Several days later, the girls invited Herman to walk with them by the river, secretly luring him to his end. He obliged, and the three set off towards the riverbank with a basket of iced tea and cookies made by the girls. Lily set down the picnic blanket and poured the tea for the group, giving Herman the first glass. Emma wandered off with the excuse of picking wildflowers, leaving the two siblings alone at the water's edge. Without a word, Herman lunged at Lily, grabbing her by the neck and thrusting her head into the water. He was strong enough that it didn't take long, and he watched as her silent body floated away over the river rocks, her heavy dress already weighing down her legs. When Emma returned to the picnic and saw only Herman standing at the water's edge, she questioned the strength of Lily's tea. He should have been out by then. Something had gone wrong. She approached him cheerfully, masking her confusion by asking where Lily had gone. He pointed to a spot far down the river. Emma stepped in front of him and glimpsed Lily's white dress floating in the water, almost gone from view, and she felt his heavy hand grip the back of her neck, silencing her scream, slamming her head first into the water. Emma didn't struggle as long as Lily had, which disappointed him. He watched her lifeless form float away and turned to go home. From under Lily's bed, he took the shadow book and began to write. First, his father's name, and how he'd pushed him off the roof of their barn after finding the bloody cat. His father hadn't died as a result of the fall, but was immobilized. So Herman described how he'd covered his mouth and nose until he stopped breathing. Then he wrote the girls' names and described the events in meticulous detail. How their wet skin felt under his fingers as they stopped thrashing, and how their bodies looked like paper dolls floating in the river. His handwriting contrasted starkly to theirs, making it clear where their entries stopped and his began. Herman would go on to add more than 100 names to the book over the years. Some full names, some only first names. This shadow book was recovered at the Chicago murder castle of the man who went by the name H. H. Holmes, a man who's widely known as America's first serial killer. The man whose real name was Herman Mudgett.